Good evening. My name is Natalia, and I am an undergraduate student from the Department of Psychology in Concordia University. I am here to talk to you about the research we conducted on personality psychology and how the replication of an original study can provide some evidence of validity. First, I am going to introduce Ashton and Lee's personality measurements called HEXACO and its 6 dimensions. Then I will discuss some theories, the issue with replication, and the hypotheses that were formed based on prior research. I am going to talk about how we conducted this experiment, then I'll discuss the results we found, and then finally I will draw a conclusion. Personality studies have been used to assess personality traits for decades. Theories of personality have been defined as multidimensional in nature. However, since we can produce multiple types of personality measurements, there is a need to have reliable and valid scales. One of them is HEXACO, created by Ashton and Lee, and it is a personality measurement derived from the 5-factor model composed of 6 dimensions: honesty, humility, emotionality, extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and openness to experience. Hence, the actual personality trait would be honesty, humility, that was added as it was not well represented in the 5-factor model, according to Ashton and Lee. While the original personality inventory can have over 100 items, Ashton and Lee have constructed a shorter version with 10 items per dimension called HEXACO 60 to reduce the time spent assessing personality traits. Evidence for HEXACO 60's validity has been found since the dimensions have shown to be orthogonal and has a strong positive correlation with the 5-factor model. Due to the importance of needing reliable and valid personality tests, it is important to provide more evidence of its validity through replication. However, psychology has faced an issue with replication, as studies that intended to show the same findings as previous work are not the same. Nonetheless, it is still important to replicate studies to ensure some level of trust in the original findings. The MESIC framework is the basis to which we use to find evidence of validity for HEXACO 60. Accordingly, MESIC conceptualizes construct validity as a unified concept in which all other forms of validity are evidence of it, wherein we have a form of validity evidence that looks at how a scale or measure can relate to another, i.e., relationships to other variables, and another form of validity evidence that looks at how items of a same test are not correlated to each other, i.e., internal structure. Hence, our research aims to replicate Ashton and Lee's results that will provide more evidence of validity for HEXACO 60. Thus, we hypothesize that all HEXACO traits should not be correlated. Honesty, humility, and agreeableness should have a positive intercorrelation. Conscientiousness and estimated GPA are positively correlated as these two are related. We conveniently sampled 110 psychology students from a Research Methods 2 class in Concordia University. We initially excluded 3 participants who scored the highest in conscientiousness. After participants were given instructions of the experiment and gaining their informed consent, they completed an online survey on Qualtrics composed of 4 scales. HEXACO 60 questions on a Likert scale as shown in Figure 1. Basic questions on a Slido scale as shown in Figure 2. Moral identity scale has shown on Figure 3, and belief bias scale has shown in Figure 4. HEXACO is our main focus for this replication study. Thus, results for basic question scale, moral reasoning scale, and belief bias scores were not analyzed. As shown in Table 1, the results of this Pearson correlational analysis showed that most HEXACO intercorrelations fell below 0.30. This relationship was predicted as they reflect the findings supporting Ashton and Lee's study, with the exceptions of correlations between honesty, humility, and conscientiousness and openness to experience. These relationships were not predicted as they are not shown in previous studies. Results do not support our second hypothesis since we expected to see a high correlation between honesty, humility, and agreeableness. The highest correlation was between honesty, humility, and conscientiousness, showing some inconsistency between our findings and Ashton and Lee's. Nonetheless, some support for our first hypothesis offers some level of validity evidence for internal structure. Our third hypothesis predicted a positive correlation between conscientiousness and estimated GPA, but results indicate a weak correlation. Hence, there is very low validity evidence for relations to other variables. In conclusion, results for HEXACO show some level of validity evidence for internal structure since most dimensions are not correlated to each other. However, some dimensions were intercorrelated, but unlike what previous studies have shown, agreeableness and honesty, humility were not one of them. There is very weak convergent evidence between HEXACO traits and its relationships to other variables. While there are some inconsistencies between Ashton and Lee's original findings in our replication study, we do not think HEXACO 60 should be discarded completely. HEXACO 60 should be revised with a larger representative sample, as our sample of university students could have introduced some biases. In the meantime, we suggest researchers use the original HEXACO personality inventory, which has more validity and reliability for clinical and personal assessment.